you lovely frugal kings and queens everywhere. Let's start this video with a warning. The 2023 Global Risk Report of the World Economic Forum lists extreme weather events due to climate change as one of the biggest risks for the world in the next 2 years. For the coming 10 years, failure to take action against and to adapt to climate change will be dominating the list of the highest risks. You could say that at this point in time, the World Economic Forum, an organization of global decision-makers, is issuing a strong warning against business as usual and is arguing for a different business model for the world. So, in this video, we will talk about the contribution of the most important consumer products and services to climate change and how consumers, collectively, can play an important role in the fight against climate change. Because consumers are responsible for 60 to 70% of all direct and indirect emissions. That's of course not all consumers everywhere, but mainly consumers in developed countries. Consequently, changes in our lifestyles and behavior can result in a 40 to 70% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Not to shift responsibilities from governments and corporations to consumers, but we consumers have choices, and they can make a difference. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, we can be the change we want to see in the world. So who are the culprits and what can we do about it? Electricity and heating, food production, fashion, mobility and transport, and internet use. In other words, the things and services many of us take for granted and use every day, have a lot to do with climate change through greenhouse gas emissions. And as frugal kings and queens, there is a lot we can do to turn this around. Rather than being spectators to the situation as it unfolds, we can have a seat at the table where the decisions are being made. The actions we take by adopting a frugal lifestyle will save us money, mitigate climate change and, ultimately, prevent our extinction. Sound good? Are you interested? First, we need to appreciate the link between our consumption behavior and its environmental impact. Second, we can make better consumer choices. Consumers vote with their wallets, and where they spend their money plays an important role in influencing how brands act. Meat producers, streaming services, fashion and electronics companies, the oil industry and car manufacturers will follow. They are all very good at manipulating our choices, but we can most certainly return the favor. Just like they are creating needs, we can tell them what we want through our consumer choices. They will comply. It's the name of the game. The key takeaway here is that consumers are extremely powerful once they start, collectively, making the right choices. So, what leverages do consumers really have? First off, reduce meat, especially beef, and dairy. Grow at least some of your own food in your backyard, on your balcony or windowsill, and buy from local agriculture. Meat production accounts for 60% of greenhouse gases from food production, or 18% of total emissions worldwide. Reducing or even replacing meat in your diet is not hard at all. There are delicious alternatives to meat and dairy products. And our burping, farting and ruminating bovine friends will appreciate your compassion too. Besides, a high-fiber, plant-based diet is much better for your health. Avoid wasting food. Globally, 30% of the total food supply is lost or wasted. If food waste were a country, it would be the third largest CO2 emitter in the world, after China and the United States. For frugalists and food-insecure people, this is a slap in the face. The sharing of food, rescued from being wasted, helps both the environment and makes a huge difference for people in need. Consider getting involved in food-saving and food-sharing organizations. Reduce energy use and improve the energy efficiency of your home. Put on an extra layer and turn down the heating a degree or two. Turn off lights and appliances when you don't need them. Replace light bulbs with LEDs and swap energy-efficient appliances for outdated models. Change the way you use hot water, like buying a water-efficient shower head. Get proper insulation, and consider draft-proofing windows and doors. In hot climates and during summer, consider the use of fans instead of air conditioning. Plant trees around the house and plant greenery on your roof. Trees and green roofs help regulate temperature by cooling overheated urban areas. They reduce flood risk by absorbing surface rainwater, and they provide important habitats for a wide variety of animals. Use ride or car sharing in public transport, and do video conferences instead of traveling. Leave the car at home whenever possible, or better yet, get rid of it and don't buy one if you have alternatives. This should be getting easier all the time in urban areas with a growing supply of mobility options. Many families can manage with one car instead of two by just getting organized, and without cramping your convenience. Residents in rural areas may have fewer alternatives to cars, but ride-sharing should always be an option. Talk to your neighbors and colleagues, and get organized. Instead of short flights, take the train or the bus. Use the bicycle or walk whenever possible. Both are very healthy activities. If you drive a car, drive smoothly. Avoid fast fashion. Have a look at fashion sharing and second-hand fashion, and buy fewer new clothes. Fashion sharing gives consumers access to a variety of clothes, styles, and even designer brands beyond their purchasing power. You can constantly borrow new items without having to worry too much about your account balance. There are numerous fashion sharing platforms specializing in everyday, high-end, unique, baby, children, and maternity fashion. Second-hand or pre-loved fashion has unique pieces that are unavailable elsewhere. Next to second-hand clothes, fashion sharing and renting has been and continues to be a strong trend to counteract the massive impact fashion manufacturers, brands, and their customers have on the environment. If you do buy new clothes, choose brands that produce sustainably. Generally, consider sharing and renting things instead of buying. Many things we buy, we use only rarely or not at all. Think of the electric drill you need just twice a year. Probably, one drill is enough for the needs of an entire neighborhood. Meanwhile, there are hardly any limitations to what can be shared or rented. Many sharing platforms, marketplaces, and initiatives are available, offering everything under the sun, or specializing, for example, in transportation, accommodation, food, fashion, home and office furniture, toys, machines, equipment and tools, camper vans, motorhomes and trailers, private planes, and boats, to name a few. Find streaming services that are using renewable energy. Cutting down on movies and shows may be hard for some, as we have become used to enjoying videos around the clock. But good old board games may be an alternative sometimes, and they are making a strong comeback. Get refurbished electronics, always buy long-lasting high-quality products, and find products that can be repaired. Do not always buy the newest model, just because it has a new feature that you may or may not need, while the old one still works for you. This is called perceived obsolescence and only aims to seduce you into replacing an item that does not need replacing. Keep your eyes peeled for products with built-in planned obsolescence. This is usually the case with cheaper products made with low-quality materials. Avoid single-use products, unless they have to be so, for example, in a medical context. Give unwanted items a new life by donating them to charity or selling them on. For Black Friday or Singles Day, if you live in China, make a list of things you really need and have been waiting for, and buy only what's on the list. Generally, consider experiences instead of buying stuff whenever holiday seasons, birthdays, or anniversaries are coming around. When buying, look for sustainable brands. More and more brands are aligning their value chains with consumers' priorities for sustainably produced goods. This can include things like buying organic produce, choosing products made from recycled materials, and supporting companies that use renewable energy. Develop strategies against impulse shopping, if that should be your guilty pleasure. Shopping-induced happiness is very short-lived and, like any addiction, leads only to more shopping. If you are addicted to shopping, get help. Seriously. Against our better knowledge, things are continuing to move at breakneck speed towards an unmitigated disaster on a global scale. If you have kids, think about the world we are leaving them. What are the things you think you can implement in your daily lives to save money and mitigate the climate catastrophe we are heading for? How best to spread the word and motivate people to adopt a lifestyle that mitigates climate change? What policy measures would support climate-friendly lifestyles and promote green growth at the same time? On a lighter note, let's remember John Lennon's famous quote, "Everything will be okay in the end." If it's not okay, it's not the end. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, lest you miss out on our other videos to accompany you on your journey to frugal bliss. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Hope to see you again soon.